Hey everybody, welcome to Two Dads, One Car, where we talk about modern fatherhood. My friends, I'm excited to bring into the car a VIP guest here. His name is Roger Ma. He is the executive chef of Boulevard Kitchen, which is consistently on Canada's top 100 restaurants list. We met at an event a couple months back, and I was like, Roger, you got to be on the show. He is a father of a 4-year-old son. He's tracking around the same age as my daughter. And so we're on this career path, this journey of fatherhood together. And I can't wait to understand, how does he navigate running a busy restaurant with being an intentional father and more? Because I know, aside from the legal industry, working in the culinary industry is probably just as demanding, if not more, especially with the hours. And so love to get his perspective, love to bring him on the show. And a special shout out to our mutual friend Craig for making this work and helping to bridge the connection and beyond. And so with that, we'll have him on the show very shortly. He's just around the corner on Burrard Street. All right. Roger, so excited to have you on the show. So excited we're making this work. Love to start off with a brief, actually, snapshot of your family, if you don't mind.
Sure,
like, number of kids, rough ages. We'll take it from there.
Yeah. My family, it's just, I've been with my wife together for over 10 years now. I think, we had our 10th wedding anniversary last year. Some may say we had a child kind of later in our lives, but I don't think you can really define what age is perfect time, because I don't think there is a perfect time to have kids. Jordan, he's our only son. He will be turning 4 on April 28th, so soon.
Oh, coming up fast.
Coming up really fast. Yeah.
What would you say, from your perspective, is like an unspoken truth about fatherhood? And I'm sure there's a lot of unspoken truths. And so love to get your perspective, and we'll dive a bit more into your background as well after that.
No, for sure. I think there's definitely more than one unspoken truth. I think it's multiple at a time. But I think for me, and it really goes. I think once Jordan was born, it's the amount of sacrifice I feel that is an unspoken truth. And what that means to me is you're giving up a lot of things that your life before a child, whether it's going out with your friends or working later into the night, working, even getting up and going to work earlier to get things done. My wife and I are pretty career driven. Like, she's a lawyer and I'm a chef, and I think those are the two occupations that shouldn't work together, but it kind of does for us, I guess. But we both work really long hours, and I think for me as a chef, being pretty career driven, fatherhood has really taught me to give up some things. I don't know if giving up is the right word. I think maybe trying to find that balance, but definitely priorities really shift. And I think, definitely making those sacrifices is one of those unspoken truths. Another one for me is also, do I know what I'm doing? Like, sometimes, right? Like, I feel like
I feel like that all the time.
I can run a kitchen. I can teach someone how to make a recipe or whatnot. But when it comes to fatherhood, there is no recipe, I think. And being a chef, like, always trying to assume control of your situation, and when you have a child, it's a lot of things are out of your control. And I think it's really just about adapting to the situation. But when you look at it from the big picture point of things, it's really I don't know. I think it's something that's really eye-opening, becoming a father. And so far I'm really enjoying it, and it's something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. So
what have been like the eye-opening pieces?
I think really just knowing that there's this little person that is really dependent on you for everything. Right. And it's not like you can turn it off. It's not like you can your day is done, you go home, you go into bed. No, it's a constant thing. It's something that doesn't turn off, but it also brings incredible joy, right? and it's also forced me to grow and mature a lot more. But it's always something that I've been looking forward to. I think um, career being in the way of starting a family, I would say that's definitely the situation I was in, and I feel like waiting a little longer in your career or age to have kids a little later sometimes is a good thing. I feel
Yeah.
you feel a little more settled in your career, or you feel that you're a little wiser, you're a little more mature. I think you understand the world a bit better, and as a parent, I think you become calmer. It'd be interesting to see what it would be like when I'm in my early 30s rather than my early 40s having a child. But definitely, I feel that extra seasoning as a person. You gain something from it, and I think it makes fatherhood more enjoyable.
I resonated with that so much. I love the word. I love how you inserted the word seasoning there. But if I was, if I was in my early 30s, I don't know if I would. Right? It's tough, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned your wife is also a lawyer. I think
Mhm.
connected through Fackle BC,
Yeah.
but also like it is a big push in that stage of career. I mean, Roger, you're one of the most celebrated chefs here in Vancouver. Like your restaurant hits like the top 100 list every single year and beyond. And I've tracked your journey. Like you've been training in Whistler, New York. I'm a low key like a big fan. I'm also a low key big culinary fan, mainly because I could barely fry an egg, but I love watching people who could do it with finesse, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, like that is like I love it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a car behind me. Like for me, like a low key admirer of that.
Yeah.
But I know the grind of the life, that kitchen life as well. And so like how do you balance that? Like how do you? I'm sure there's a question that your mentees ask you. Like
Yeah.
how do you navigate? What does that schedule look like for you?
No, that's a great question. I mean, number one is not easy, I think, but I don't think anything in life is going to be easy. And I think it doesn't just apply to, I think, chefs or the restaurant business. I think everyone has their own challenges in any kind of career. Um, but I think in particular, what I find challenging the most is being a chef is not like about the long hours. Yes, it's long hours, but also it's the time of day, right? I'm expected to be at the restaurant during dinner service, and that's when everyone's at home having dinner around the table as a family. So 5 nights out of the week, I miss out on that. And I think for me growing up in a pretty traditional Chinese family, dinner was always one of those things where it's non-negotiable. Everyone's gonna sit down. You're there until the final grain of rice is eaten out of your bowl, right? You're not allowed to go anywhere until you finished all your dinner. And I think growing up with that has really resonated with me today. In when I look at my family right now at home, and not being able to be there at the dinner table 5 nights out of the week. It's I don't want to say it's painful to see, but I definitely feel FOMO for sure.
Yeah.
And also I feel like being around the dinner table really creates a special kind of bond, and you talk about your day, you share food, and food is such a thing that connects people, right? And that's what's drawn me to become a chef, is really using food as a way to connect with people and celebrate, and it's joy and happiness. That's the act of eating and enjoying delicious food.
It just reminded me of a memory actually. My wife celebrated her birthday many years ago actually at Boulevard. And
Okay.
it's a notion of food. It's a notion of
Right.
like seafood, like having that
Yeah.
gathering. But I
Yeah.
also really interested to see your perspective too, because you being in at the restaurant, right? You might not be able to get that with your children, with Jordan, right?
Yeah.
And so would it be more weekends and weekend evenings, or how does that look like to carve out that time?
Yeah, so usually Sunday, Mondays I'm off, and on Sundays it's family day. My wife is off as well. She does the Monday to Friday. I'm like the Tuesday to Saturday. So we get that one day as a family all together. And Sundays are special for us. So if I'm cooking on a Sunday night, then we're gonna enjoy a meal together. maybe my wife's parents will come over, or we might go to my sister's house, which, you know, my mom lives there as well, and my other sister will come, and you know, there's many moments like that. So they're precious moments, because you know, it is only one day out of the week where I get to do that. And on the Mondays, I'm definitely, you know, spending the whole day with my son, and we do activities together, take him swimming, or you know, ice skating, or floor hockey, or whatnot. And then yeah, I'll make him lunch, I'll make him dinner, and I'll make sure that he's well nourished. And I think, you know, as a chef and as becoming a father, it's really about thinking about the things that he's eating, and you know,
Yeah.
is he getting all the nutrients, is he getting enough, you know, protein and vegetables, and you know, I'm making sure he's getting whole foods, and you know, not processed foods, and I'm trying to cook from scratch most of the time for him. And you know, I try to do breakfast with him in the mornings as well, but you know, that's becoming tougher and tougher with his schedule too, because he's in like um, a learning, you know, one of those learning daycares now,
Yeah.
which they provide the breakfast, which is great. But you know, as a chef, you're always thinking about, oh, okay, I want to cook for this guy, right? So I'm always thinking about, oh, I want to cook for him, and sometimes I'll make a big batch of like a stew or a porridge or something, and something that's really healthy and nutritious, and make sure he has some of that sometimes. But I'm constantly thinking about him and what he's eating. To be honest, it's pretty funny.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I struggle with this, Roger, and I'm sure parents have asked you this, right? Pointers for picky eaters. Like, it's so interesting because I remember back when I
Yeah,
was growing up, you eat every single last grain of rice, right?
yeah.
And but I don't know. I'm encountering a wall here. So
I mean, you know, for us, my wife and I, my wife is a big foodie as well. You know, we actually met in culinary school. That's a funny. That's
oh
yeah.
really?
That's a funny story.
Oh
But
no way.
yeah,
Oh
um,
cool.
while she was doing her undergrad, she decided she wanted to attend culinary school at the same time, and that kind of just shows, you know, the type of ambition my wife has. I
Wow.
know, right? So you know, she understands food. She understands what I do quite well, and she understands the industry. So I think that's why it works, because she has good
Yes.
understanding. But you know, when Jordan came along, yeah, we both definitely wanted to expose him to as many different foods as possible
Mm.
when he's young. And the moment I think he can start eating solid foods, it's like that was a really fun
You're
moment
like,
for
all
me.
right, here we go.
Yeah, because you get to start, you know, experimenting and seeing, like, I love seeing his reaction, you know, when he was at 6 months and we're feeding him like avocado and different fruit, and you know, like cooked beans and stuff, and just watching him, how he reacts to different things. And it's such a joy to watch his facial expressions and stuff. And that's always been, even to this day, like, you know, trying to have him try all these different foods. And he's actually a pretty good eater.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, he loves sushi. Like, we started eating sushi with him when he was, you know, at quite a young age. And you know, he doesn't do a lot of raw, like he'll do like raw salmon and tuna and stuff like that, but what he really loves is ikura,
Ah.
like
Wait, what is
cured
that?
salmon
Oh,
roe.
okay. Okay. Yes.
And I don't know, it's funny because there's actually a few other kids that I know around his age that love it too. And I don't know if it's something about the texture, or because it's salty, or savory, but he loves it. And you
Mm.
know, it's really fun to watch him get excited about it.
I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall and see what's up for like Sunday brunch and see what that looks like in that household. But that sounds amazing, right? It sounds like truly, wow, like so heartwarming. I want to tie back to something you said earlier about
Hmm.
traditions and about growing up from your household and your family,
Yeah.
right? That like, and even now, right? Fatherhood has changed over the years, of course. What are some things from like your own upbringing that you're looking to carry through with Jordan?
Right. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, the enjoying the meals together as a family is important. And you know, those are definitely one of the things that I want him to grow up with and remember, and really kind of look at as a sacred moment. You know, just because life is so busy now,
Mm.
for everyone, and I think it's just increasingly going to get harder and harder as life, like time goes on, for people to afford to raise families and whatnot, it's just going to be tougher and tougher. There's going to be more and more people in our situations where your significant other is still working throughout the night while people are sitting down to eat. So really trying to carve out that time and make sure that you are cognizant of how special or precious those moments are. Because yeah, like I said, growing up, big family dinners and being with family was such a big part of my childhood that I really want my son to be able to recognize that and have him experience it as well, and make sure that he's going to carry on that tradition of just being with family and making sure that he knows how important family is and how lucky he is that we have a pretty big family. We have he has lots of cousins.
I love it.
Tons of cousins, right? And how special that is, because not everyone has that. And I feel that the older I get, the more and more I look back at my career and my life, and I've worked in places like in New York.
Yeah.
I was away for 6 years, and what really brought me back was family, because that's irreplaceable, right? And I'm really blessed that I have a big loving family here, that I want my son to be a part of, and that he can grow up with that too.
There is something about that, right? Being surrounded by family, by love, by cousins, and it made me reflect on kind of my own upbringing as well too, right? Having so many cousins around me, and now all of them have kids, so it's like its own.
Yeah, no, it's funny, you're kind of reliving your childhood through your kids, right? And watching my son play with all his little cousins, and all us cousins are standing around and watching that happen in real time, and it's incredible to see, because 20 years ago, whatever, that was us.
Yeah.
Right? 20, 30, 40 years ago, that was us running around and discovering new things together, and playing outside together, and that's the joy, right? I think that's the joy of life, really. Is that, and that's I think the joy of fatherhood is being able to experience that again, right?
I like what we said there about the joy of fatherhood, right? It's just that re-experiencing of that feeling. The first time going to a park, first time going to a water park, first time tasting ice cream or avocado, or cured salmon roe, and seeing that sensation that comes out. And you mentioned now that having kids a little later, right? Having that seasoning beforehand, and I think it's everyone makes their own decisions, and I think it's a really interesting foresight. Was that intentional, where you're like, hey, I'm gonna establish my career in Whistler and then New York, and had that discussion? Okay, like at what point did you decide, okay, let's go for it, right?
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, I don't think it was planned.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think having kids, there's never a perfect time, I don't think. And I think it was just, obviously it's career driven. My wife and I really wanted to, I guess, get to a certain point in our careers where we felt, comfortable with exploring family, right? And I think that's important to each other, and I think that's something that we both really respect about each other, is how, our own ambitions is what kind of attracted us together, right? And understanding that about each other and really kind of being patient is key to, I think, a good relationship. And yeah, the whole waiting part, I guess that's just a byproduct of focusing on your career and making sure that that you are in a good place where you feel settled, and you're not worried or struggling about how am I going to afford to do this or that, and how am I going to be able to raise a child, and yet at the same time I need to put so much time and energy into establishing myself, right? So there's that piece, and again, I think it's going to be different for everybody, but at least that's just our experience, right? And I feel that at the end of the day, it's kind of worked out for us. And I'm able to enjoy being a father and enjoy being a chef, and have a really demanding job that, you know, requires a lot of my time. You know, there's like 150 people at my restaurant that I need to give my time to as well, right? And it's not just my family. So kind of trying to find that balance and learn how to balance all that and give everyone around me what they need from me. It's yeah, it's challenging, but you know, I think it's definitely something that's fulfilling as well. Being able to watch things succeed and people succeed around you, and you know, knowing that you're a part of that, and really trying to um, yeah, help people and push people along, and you know, making sure they're doing things the right way, and you know, things that I've learned wrong my way, and it kind of goes back to how I'm trying to teach Jordan these things too.
Yeah.
Especially now, you know, with him, it's a little easier because it's the fun things. Like I'm trying to teach him how to ice skate, right?
Oh, cool.
You know, so that's fun for me. Trying to, you know, he's a big hockey fan, and I played hockey
Oh, I
growing
had no
up.
idea.
So
Okay, yeah.
you know, and those are that's one of the things that I want to see him do and enjoy. Because you know, growing up for me, being on a playing team sports, I think really kind of helped me. And you look back in your life and your career, and you kind of think about, okay, you know, how do you understand, how do you work on a team, how do you work with other people? Well, you know, I think growing up, you know, playing minor hockey, it really taught you that at a young age, and it kind of sets you. It's funny because you don't think about these things until a lot later in life, where, hey, these little things you used to do as a kid, well, it kind of makes sense now, right? So I don't know if that's the case for everybody, but definitely that's what worked out for me.
That's such a cool tie-in, right? The fact that you're bringing, you know, the fact that you did minor hockey growing up, and like how it now ties into the way you lead, I'm sure, in a kitchen or in a room, whether it's a
Yeah,
locker room. But the fact that also Jordan is, you're teaching how to skate as well and
yeah,
introducing. Man, there's so many things I could pick from what you just said there. But the comment I do want to state, and I'm sure the listeners are hearing, is that, you know, you strike me as a very intentional father, right? And I think this
hmm
discussion will help many people who are also trying to navigate, like, how do you navigate those ambitions and career
right,
ambitions? How do you navigate that in a demanding world? I mean, guys, we're in the car here with Roger Ma, like, this is the man here, right? But also, just, I'm sure as you have mentees who are going through the profession, right,
hmm
they can hear your voice and understand, okay, there's a way. Of course, there's sacrifices here and there, but there's
yeah,
a way to thread the needle, right? And we're all learning,
yeah,
of course, right?
yeah. I mean, I'm still learning, right? And yeah, I'm only in year 4 of fatherhood, and I'm in year, I think, 22 of my career, right? So, you know, when you look at like the timeline and you look at life and you take a step back, and it's still just a small little snapshot of the rest of your life, right? And
Mm.
I think for me, um, you know, a high school, one of my, you know, favorite high school teachers said to me once, you know, you can't sweat the small stuff, and
Ah.
that's really kind of stuck with me since then. Is I didn't really understand what he meant by that when he said that to me, and you know, during that time, you know, my father passed away, or he was going through, uh, you know, liver cancer, and that was like a pretty emotional time for me when I was in high school, and
Mm.
you know, when my father finally did pass, you know, he said that to me, my teacher, don't sweat the small stuff, and that kind of really put things into perspective. I think, you know, as I got older, and you know, really, I think it is really keeping an eye on the big picture, and you know, there's only so many things you can do in a day. I think
Mm.
number one,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think you can't do everything at once, right? So, you know, how do you just, you know, break that down and make it make sense? Well, maybe take one or two things out of, you know, the list of 100,
Yeah.
right? And you slowly kind of chip away at it. And if you can do one of those one or two things really, really well, then, you know, I think that you build some momentum from there, and that builds your confidence. And I think, you know, it's a better starting point than, you know, kind of looking at the big pile of things you got to do, and sitting there with your arms up in the air. So
Yep. Yeah, I've been there.
yeah,
Because it could feel endless, right?
yeah, it can just be daunting, right?
Yeah, especially when you tack on like family responsibilities and fatherhood and like
Yeah,
business and beyond. So I guess, and thanks for sharing the story about your father as well, right?
Yeah,
During
yeah, yeah.
that tough time. And what your teacher say in the context, like, hey, like, just to help navigate what's going on, and yeah,
Yeah, I think just to help navigate, when you're young, you still don't understand a lot of things,
yeah,
and you're still just figuring things out, right? And I think, by just saying that, don't sweat the small stuff, um, it really just, put things in perspective,
mm,
um, because there's so many things that you can't control,
mm,
right? And that's life.
mm.
And I think if you can pick and choose, the things you can control, um, and the things that you really want to work on, that's gonna help yourself and help make your life better, right? Because the things that you can't control, well, you just gotta let it be, right?
Mm.
And you can't really worry, you can't sweat about it too much, really.
Man, this is some wisdom bombs here that, that apply to many things,
Yeah,
right?
no, totally.
I'd love to, the last thing I want to pivot to, and love to pick your brain on this, right? With career, family, and beyond, how do you carve out time for yourself, and what do you do for yourself to get that clarity? Because I'm
Hmm.
sure you probably need that space to be creative, right? Think about what dishes to try,
Yeah,
things like menu planning, like that probably requires some like space, right?
for
How
sure.
do you do that? What do you
Um,
do? Yeah.
Man, to be honest, like it's tough to really get that time for yourself.
Yeah.
Um, especially being a father and running a big restaurant. It's and also being a husband. I think
Yes, that's
we
right.
forget.
Yes, sorry.
I think we also forget about being a husband.
Yeah.
And that's another layer of complexity to already a busy, complex life that needs attention, right? And I think I don't want to say it's the first thing that gets kind of left behind, but I think more often than not, it is the thing that gets left behind.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that gets you in trouble, I think, the most is forgetting to be a husband.
I've been
My
there.
wife's gonna kill me when she hears that, but at least she knows I'm thinking about it. So hopefully that gives me some brownie points, hopefully. But no, but
I will.
um, yeah, the time for yourself. I mean, it's important, definitely. That I think the past few years, there's been things that happened in my life and career that really made me reflect on that. This is, besides being a father,
Mm,
becoming a new father is really, I think you hear people talk about mental health a lot, and it's a subject that is relatively new still. I think it's only in the last maybe 10, 12 years that people really started talking about mental health and the
mhm.
well-being of yourself and all the things that make us as humans tick, right? And tick
Yeah.
the right way. I don't know if there is a right way, but at least properly, or at least what's good for you, right? And yeah, really finding that time, you just have to try and find some time, really. and
Mhm.
eh, and if you have to force yourself to take the time for yourself because you feel like you need a mental reset, or you just need to blow off some steam, or you
Yeah.
need to clear your mind or thoughts, you got to figure out a way to do it. Because I think the people who kind of push it aside, or really don't do that, it's just going to lead to other things. I think it makes you, I don't know, maybe it might make you a person that's going to be upset all the time, or angry, or something, because it's like anything. I think anything with pent up pressure, eventually it's going to either explode or
Mm,
implode.
mm,
um, and I think it's as simple as that. And for myself, having hobbies outside of work is huge.
yeah.
I think having a group of friends also outside of work is huge. um, or even within work, within your career, all chefs are buddies somehow, like we all,
Yeah.
it's like a brotherhood,
That's
right?
so nice. Yeah.
But I'm still really close with my high school friends, right? Believe it or not. And I'm so close with my family as well. So I feel I'm really lucky because
Yeah.
I have that network. I think some people may not. um it's like that song, no new friends, right? Like
Yeah.
um I guess there is some truth to that, but at the same time, I think, yeah, just having some hobbies is healthy. I'm a car guy. I'm a sports guy. Like I love hockey. Yeah, I like, I love, working on my car and doing things with it. I like going to the track and
Nice.
stuff.
Oh, nice.
So, I recently started doing that last few years. I've been wanting to do it for many, many years, but, obviously it's something that's, requires a level of, I guess, financial irresponsibility um, to be a part of. So, but at the end of the day, it's like, how do you put a price on that? I don't know. What makes you happy, right? Like it's really about finding something that makes you feel free. And, for me, being on a track, it makes me feel like removed from this world, and you're just so focused on one task that, yeah, you kind of, yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but that's what it is for me. And, I recently started playing ice hockey again
Nice.
on Monday nights with my old, beer league team that, I haven't connected with in over 10 years. And they graciously welcomed me back to play, pickup on Monday nights. And that has been like, I've been having a blast. And as we get older, especially in the career I'm working in, physical health is really hard to, I guess, stay on top of and manage. So
Yeah.
being able to pick up a physical, activity or sport like that, it's going to be good for you, like good for your heart, good for your health, good for your, your mental health as well, just to stay active. So, yeah, like I said, you just got to find the time and, make it work for yourself, make it work for your family. Hockey's late. It's like 9:30 at night. Jordan is
that's
going
right.
to bed. So,
Yeah.
that kind of works out. And my wife is very understanding about it, and she understands the importance of exercising and getting that heart healthy again. So, yeah, that's what I've been able to do. And I'm blessed to be able to do it. Plus still, run this big restaurant and be a father. So yeah, I'm just trying to make the best of it.
It's great to hear. I'm glad the beer league guys have welcomed you in. Hopefully, it
Yeah.
isn't too bad of an initiation.
Well, I'm
You're
sure
playing goalie now, Roger.
well, I'm sure they're gonna hit me up for a big team meal soon at Boulevard. So I don't know. We'll see.
No, I mean those are such fantastic reminders too, right? Because you talk about health, right? You talk about well-being. You also talk about being a good spouse, right? And I've definitely been in my own sticky situations where
Yeah.
that seems to be sometimes the first to go, right?
Oh yeah.
My wife looks like, Steven, you give so much to our daughter, so
Mhm.
much to your work, and you hold me like deflated with me. I'm like, you're right. I have no defense here.
You gotta get those date nights in, and it's those small little gestures. And I didn't really understand, sometimes there's cryptic messages from your spouse, right? And sometimes they're not going to spell it out to you, and I think that's going to be, for the rest of our lives, it's going to be that way. So it's really up to us to make that choice and to really, remember why, what brought us joy, right? And I think that's important. So I try to do little things here and there the best I can, to keep us happy, right? I may not be the best at it, I'll admit. Like, I've been told that too. But
me too.
I think it's the effort, right? And yeah, it's really about the effort and the thoughtfulness. That's really it.
The one thing that I learned from one of our mutual friends, Craig, when he was
Yeah.
on the podcast, and he talked about just doing like, and I love this tip. Thank you, Craig. It's been really helpful for my own marriage. About doing lunch dates, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just like him and I go for like lunch dates somewhere, right?
That's a good tip.
I'm
Thanks,
like-
Craig. I'll use that one too.
I'm like, oh, I could try this. So that part's been helpful, but
Yeah.
it's a learning journey. It's so great to have you in the car. If I could pivot to the last question, actually Jordan and my daughter, they're also about 4 years old. So
Okay.
I know I can kind of
Yeah.
sense where you're at here.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking forward to in this next chapter of fatherhood for you? This next little act? Anything that that you're excited about and you're looking forward to?
No, I think I'm just looking forward to him, really coming into his own and becoming his own little person. That's already, you can already see flashes of that, and kind of, you can really see who he's going to become a little bit. But I think as, he starts elementary school or kindergarten, you know, I think that's when you kind of really get a good sense of, you know, what kind of person he's going to become, right? And I guess, you know, going back to your original question, you know, what's an unspoken truth? It's
Yeah.
like yeah, there's worry, right? I worry, like, am I going to be a good enough example for him? You know, am I going to be able to raise him the way that, you know, I would want to be raised, or at least, like, you know, what I feel is best for him? You know, is he going to be are we going to raise him to be able to be a good person, right?
Mm, mm, mm.
You know, so yeah, there is that worry, right? And that is a definitely an unspoken truth. I think every parent's worried for sure about their kids, and you know, that is a big worry about, you know, the amount of time that I get to spend with them as well, because we all know that time is so precious, especially when you have a career that's so demanding. And yeah, so there's a lot of worry, but you know, what I get excited for is I want to, yeah, I think the moment I can see him start gliding on the ice and making hockey stops and being able to cross over and skate backwards, I'm really looking forward to that, because the moment he can, you know, grip a stick and I can, you know, play some stick and puck with him, and you know, he can rip pucks. He's already doing that at home with the mini sticks and the foam pucks at home. Like, he can pick corners and stuff with the net.
Nice.
The moment the moment he can do that on the ice, I feel wow, I can't wait to see that, you know, and I can't wait to experience it with him, because it's just going to bring so much joy, right? So much joy.
Well, that sounds like a blast. When that happens, snap me a photo.
I will.
Well, Roger, such a thrill to have you. Thank you for taking the time to chat this morning.
Thanks for having me.
It's just an honor to learn from you. I'm going to re-listen to this podcast. I really pick up a lot of the tidbits and learned a lot from our conversation. So I'm going to drop you back. I know you have a full day ahead, and so appreciate the time and the energy. Thank you.
Thanks,
Roger.
Appreciate it.
That was such a fascinating episode. Thank you so much, Roger, for being on the show. Oh my gosh, I think my main takeaway was really near the end. It's really about don't sweat the small stuff. And it's such a good reminder, because there's so many small things that could pile on and add on as a father. And being someone like Roger, who is the executive chef of one of the most well-known restaurants here in Vancouver, crazy career and beyond, right? There are small things that pile up. And if we're able to keep that motto in mind, where we try not to sweat the small stuff in parenting and in life and beyond, it allows us to really focus in on finding ways to really be intentional as fathers. And so, Roger, I love that. I love the entire conversation. Thank you so much for being on the show. For those who are listening, share the episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. Again, our website is 2dads1car.com. And with that, thank you all so much. We'll chat to you soon next time.